Spring Television. Ours it is.
Here are the top stories of the news. President Buhari commiserates with victims of yesterday's bus train crash in Lagos State. United Nations condemns the reported ambush and killing of more than 30 civilians in Borno State. On the foreign scene, gunman kills at least 6 persons outside a Jehovah's Witness meeting hall in Germany. Good afternoon and welcome to Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. My name is Opeyemuni. We begin in Lagos State as President Muhammadu Buhari commiserated with family of the victims of yesterday's bus train crash in Ikeja, Lagos State. President Buhari, in a statement by his media aide, prayed for the souls of the deceased, wishing quick recovery of those who were injured. The president further stated that the incident was both distressing and extremely sad. Meanwhile, President-elect Bola Tinubu also offered his condolences to the victims and families affected by the accident. He also commiserated with the Lagos State government, adding that it will continue to monitor emergency response efforts closely and offer support where necessary. At least 6 persons have been confirmed dead by emergency responders and over 82 persons injured and rushed to the Lagos State University Teaching Hospital in Ikeja. Similarly, the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, has suspended campaign activities ahead of the March 18 governorship election following the accident involving a train and a bus conveying civil servants yesterday. The governor, who is running for his second term in office, disclosed this in a Facebook post that gave account of his visit to the Lagos State University Teaching Hospital, where most of the victims of the accident are being treated. In addition to suspending his campaign activities, Mr. Sanwo-Olu also said all flags should be flown at half-mast and all civil servants would work till 12 noon today. Also, the governorship candidates of the Labour Party, Badipo Rhodes Viva, and People's Democratic Party, Olajide Adediro, visited injured victims at the hospital as well as the scene of the incident. To political matters, the Lagos State Labour Party governorship candidate, Badipo Rhodes Viva, says Nigerian youths are 90% close to taking over governance and having their dream country materialize. The 40-year-old candidate disclosed this at a meeting tagged Youth O'Clock in Ikeja yesterday, stating that the new Lagos would birth the new Nigeria. He said the project he is bringing to the table is one that will lift the lives of millions of Lagosians up and in turn lift the lives of many Nigerians. He said that it was a project to free the state from the shacklehold of tyranny and the control of one man. Meanwhile, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has said it would appeal the court judgment which ordered that Nigerians with temporary voters' cards should be allowed to vote during the March 18, 2023 governorship and Houses of Assembly elections. The spokesperson for the Commission, Chairman Rotimi Oyekomi, made this known to newsmen last night. He said the Commission has been served a copy of the judgment delivered earlier in the day by the Federal High Court Abuja Division, and the Commission is taking immediate steps to appeal the judgment. It will be recalled that the Federal High Court ordered INEC to allow the use of temporary voter cards in the governorship and Houses of Assembly elections rescheduled for March 18. Here in Osun State, days after the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC postponed the governorship and state assembly elections scheduled to hold on March 11 by 1 week. Some residents of the state have reacted to it. INEC's decision was due to the Commission's inability to earnestly commence reconfiguration of the bimodal voter accreditation system (BVAS) machines utilized during the February 25 presidential and National Assembly elections to enable their use in the state elections. Residents like Aloysius Chukwudurum and Turayo Abiri said they were not pleased with the postponement because they had thought after the election on Saturday there would be free flow of cash, and they hope the election was postponed in the interest of Nigerians. Samuel Olasukomi, on the other hand, said the federal government has the right to do anything, so he is indifferent about the postponement, while Aminat Oyetunji said election postponement has altered a schedule. Meanwhile, the governorship and state House of Assembly polls was postponed to March 18, 2023.
Very frank. Me personally, I am not happy because they are now, what they are doing now is to add to our problem. We thought after this Saturday, thanks God, which I trekked, I parked my motor for a long time. I don't eat. I have only just 1,000 naira old note while I have money in the bank. It's unfair. I'm from bank now. So the postponement is bad, and they have added to our Nigerian problem.
Actually, I was surprised when I read it this morning. I think midnight, after my midnight prayer, I saw it online on different platforms. I was like, wow, without any reason, no cogent reason. Actually, I was baffled. I was like, what happened? And I could see, I read people's comments under that different platform. Why? Why do they postpone it? For what reason? The way these people are handling we citizens, I can't even understand it.
Normally, there's nothing we can do about it because they are sent message from federal government that they are postponing to next week. So there's nothing we can do about it. We have to be patient for it.
Yeah, I feel by when I heard about the election. So I'm supposed to get back to my place on Sunday, but now I can't go again. So I postpone it to another day.
Elsewhere, River State Governor Nyesom Wike yesterday took aim at the campaign team of the People's Democratic Party PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar over the protest of the outcome of a February 25 poll. Mr. Atiku came second in the keenly contested presidential election, polling 6,984,520 votes, while the winner, Bola Tinubu of the All Progressives Congress, APC, got 8,994,726 votes. On Monday, the former vice president led a black uniform protest to the national headquarters of the Electoral Commission to protest the outcome of the polls. But Governor Wike, while speaking at the commissioning of Iguruta internal roads in the Kwara local government area of the state, mocked the party's leadership, accused the party's national leadership of not following the party's constitution and rules.
They were going to arise television every morning, abusing me. I told them, be careful. I want 3 of the Senate seats. We won 3 senators, 3 over. Ask them, did they win 3 over 3? You cannot win. I told them. They said they will conspire against me. Those who said they will conspire against me are those wearing black now. They never said it. Me, I'm wearing white, and they're wearing black. We are the founders of the party. Where were they? I'm asking you now, where were you? Founders of the party. People who have nothing to contribute. You are blaming our next chairman. He did not follow guidelines. You didn't follow your own constitution. He who sees equity must come with clean hands. Look at them. Our next chairman, he didn't follow the guidelines. What you told them. Your constitution said this is what you do. Did you do it? Whatever you sow, you will reap.
In Kano State, the All Progressives Congress APC gubernatorial candidate Dr. Nasir Yusuf Gawuna has pledged to grant local governments autonomy to operate in the state if elected as governor. Mr. Gawuna, who is also the deputy governor of the state, disclosed this while featuring in a news chat yesterday. Mr. Gawuna noted that the local governments are an integral part of the government and is a chair close to the people that facilitates even development and distribution of resources and services. The deputy governor added that he is the most qualified and prepared to be the next governor of the state, having worked with previous administrations and have garnered a lot of experience. Mr. Gawuna further urged the electorate to avoid violence and conduct themselves in a peaceful and orderly manner during the election. Kebbi State Police Commissioner CP Ahmed Magaji Kontagora has warned those planning to sabotage the forthcoming governorship polls recently shifted to March 18, 2023 to thwart their plans. The state police chief stated these at the force headquarters in Bulletin, Kebbi during the review of last presidential polls held last month. Mr. Kontagora stated that the force will leave no stone unturned in ensuring the peaceful and successful conduct of elections in the state. According to him, the force was ready to accept some unavoidable errors made in the past election, but it was also ready to accept them to make amends. To security matters, the United Nations has strongly condemned the reported ambush and brutal killing of more than 30 civilians in Mugdolo village in Ngala local government area of Borno State yesterday. In a statement yesterday, the UN, through its resident and humanitarian coordinator in Nigeria, Mr. Matthias Schmale, extended heartfelt condolences to the bereaved families and wished the injured who are recuperating a speedy recovery. Several persons were also reportedly injured and others are still missing following the deadly attack allegedly carried out by an armed group yet to be identified. According to reports, the victims of the attack includes both internally displaced persons, IDPs, and host community members from the neighboring Dikwa local government area. In Oyo State, Governor Seyi Makinde has commissioned the newly remodeled Ojo Divisional Police Headquarters, Ibadan, which was raised during the EndSARS protest of 2020. Governor Makinde also presented 74 security vehicles to the Nigeria Police Force, Oyo State Command. The governor said his administration would continue to maintain a cordial relationship with the police and other security agencies. Earlier, the Commissioner of Police, Oyo State Command, Adebo Ali Williams, appreciated the good gesture of the governor. However, implored residents of a benefiting community, especially youths, to see the remodeled police structure as their own.
We're restoring the facilities, and we're also using the opportunity to build and further cement the relationship between the police and the people and this administration. During the EndSARS protest, 4 operational vehicles were destroyed, but today we're not replacing the 4. We're replacing 4 with 74. But in the meantime, let me pledge to the Nigerian police and other security agencies in Oyo State that we will continue to support you.
The Oyo State Police Command appreciates you for your efforts at reconstructing the damaged police station during the unfortunate EndSARS way back 2020. Agreeably, this reconstruction gesture, as well as many other inclusive of the distribution of vehicles today, will further enhance our emplaced security architecture in the state through visibility policing and other confidence building measures.
You're watching Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. We'll be right back after this break.
The legendary Queen of Zazzau is best known to historians as Queen Amina of Zaria, an old walled town and capital of the Hausa state of Zazzau. Amina was a great warrior and the first woman to rule the ancient kingdom of Zazzau. Her 34 years as queen witnessed an unprecedented expansion of Zazzau by conquests. Queen Amina of Zaria belongs to the class of Amazons by the might of her army and her strings of conquests. She opened Zaria to trans-border trade and was said to have initiated kola nut cultivation in the ancient kingdom. The Hausa Muslim figure was born in 1533 and died in 1610 at the age of 77 years. Folklores remember Aminatu, the queen of Zazzau, as a brave, smart and talented leader whose giant statue now adorns the National Arts Theatre in Lagos, Nigeria, while many educational institutions bear her name. Western Spring Television identifies Queen Amina as a watershed character in history. Born Jeremiah Oyeni Obafemi on March 6, 1905, Obafemi Awolowo was a prime architect of Nigeria's independence and most consummate advocate of free education and social welfare in Africa's most populous nation. Erudite politician, thinker, and philosopher, Awo was fondly addressed by associates and political colleagues, brought his unique attributes to bear on governance in the defunct Western region. He administered as leader of government business and the premier between 1955 and 1958. Obafemi Awolowo's premiership witnessed pioneering in multi-sectoral policy initiatives and execution. The Western region under his administration paraded several enviable records. First television station in Africa, first real estate in Nigeria, first high-rise building in Nigeria, first modern sports stadium in Nigeria, first agricultural settlement in Nigeria, first modern civil service secretariat in Nigeria, and first industrial estate in Nigeria. His face is on 100 naira denomination as a mark of honor for his distinguished services to his country. Western Spring Television identifies Obafemi Awolowo as a major character in history.
Welcome back on Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. Now to the rest of the stories. The Federal High Court in Abuja has ordered the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to list Akanimo Udofia as a governorship candidate of the All Progressives Congress (APC) in Akwa Ibom. Justice James Omoto should give the order following an application by Mr. Udofia asking that a consequential order be made to allow the electoral umpire list his name as governorship candidate in the state. Delivering judgment, the judge held that the case of Mr. Udofia was justiciable and subsequently granted the prayers and ordered INEC to list him as a candidate of the APC in Akwa Ibom State. Mr. Udofia and Senator Ita Enang, a former presidential aide, asked the court to decide the authentic candidate of the APC in the Akwa Ibom governorship race. While a magistrate's court in Owerri, Imo State, yesterday remanded the immediate past deputy governor of the state, Gerald Irona, in prison custody. The presiding magistrate, CN Ezerio, after hearing the prosecution counsel and defense counsel, ordered that Mr. Irona be remanded in Owerri Correctional Center. She further said that the court does not have the jurisdiction to hear the matter. The judge, while ordering that Mr. Irona remanded in Owerri Correctional Center, said that the prosecution counsel should make all documents available to the defense counsel to enable them to take the next legal action. He also ordered that the case file be transferred to the Department of Public Prosecution. Talking business, Nigeria's crude oil sales rose by 46.41% to push Nigeria's total export to 26.79 trillion naira in 2022. This is as total trade rose by 31.79% from 39.75 trillion naira in 2021 to 52.39 trillion naira in 2022. According to data from the National Bureau of Statistics, total exports for 2022 rose by 41.72% from 18.91 trillion naira in 2021 to 26.79 trillion naira as of 2022, while imports rose by 22.77% from 20.84 trillion naira in 2021 to 25.59 trillion naira in 2022. In 2022, crude oil sales totaled 21.09 trillion naira, a 46.41% increase from 14.41 trillion naira in 2021, with crude oil accounting for 78.74% of total export in 2022. In the meantime, shares in Silicon Valley Bank, SVB, a key lender to technology startups, plummeted yesterday as investors move to withdraw their deposits. The slide comes a day after the bank announced a $2.25 billion share sale to help shore up its finances. SVB shares saw their biggest one-day drop on record as they plunged by more than 60% and lost another 20% in after-hours trade. Generally, shares in banks have fallen around the world, with the four largest U.S. banks, including J.P. Morgan and Wells Fargo, losing more than $50 billion in market value. On the foreign scene, a number of people have been killed in a shooting at a Jehovah's Witness meeting hall in the North German city of Hamburg. Police says the gunman acted alone and is thought to be dead. However, it is unclear if the attacker is among the 6 to 7 fatalities reported by German media. Police spokesman Olga Veren revealed that the police found a dead person at the scene who they believe may have been a perpetrator, and investigations are continuing, adding that there is no reliable information on the motive. A number of people were also injured in the shooting on Dilboge Street, Gross-Borstel district, late yesterday. In Asia, Xi Jinping has secured a precedented-breaking third five-year term as China's president, a larger ceremonial role, putting him on track to remain in power for the rest of his life. The nearly 3,000 members of the National People's Congress, NPC, China's parliament, voted unanimously for President Xi after the constitution was changed to remove the traditional two-term limit for the post. The NPC, whose members are appointed by the ruling Communist Party, cast 2,952 votes for Xi, and with no opposing vote. Despite the fact that no candidate list was distributed, President Xi, as well as those who secured other posts, are believed to have run unopposed.
我宣誓，忠于中华人民共和国宪法，维护宪法权威，履行法定职责。
Malaysia's former Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin has been charged with abuse of power and money laundering in connection with the awarding of government contracts during the COVID-19 pandemic. Mr. Muhyiddin, who led the country from March 2020 through the worst of a pandemic, pleaded not guilty to the 6 charges at a Kuala Lumpur court this morning. The charges were filed after Mr. Muhyiddin was questioned by investigators from Malaysia's anti-corruption agency for a number of hours yesterday. He faces 4 counts of abuse of power involving 232.5 million ringgit and 2 counts of money laundering involving 195 million ringgit. Mr. Muhyiddin, whose ethnic Malay-dominated Perikatan Nasional Coalition lost a close fought election to Anwar Ibrahim's multi-ethnic rival in November, has called the investigation politically motivated. For some sports stories, Brighton manager Roberto De Zerbi says he has a long contract with the side and he is happy to work with the club. Mr. De Zerbi made this known in a pre-game press conference ahead of a side clash with relegation-threatened Leeds City. He disclosed that he enjoys working with the players and delighted with the performance, adding that as a person, he can't ask for more. Brighton now beaten in the last past 5 Premier League away games with 3 wins and 2 draws, the joint longest current run in division, along with Brentford.
I have a long contract with Brighton. I'm happy to work here. I'm enjoying working with these players. I'm delighted for my players, for the performance of my players, and I can ask more because for me it's a good moment of my work, of my life. We have a dream, and I think we know very well we can write the history, the new history of the club, and for us this is a very important and very nice.
In the meantime, Arsenal secured a hard-earned 2-2 draw against Sporting Lisbon in an entertaining Europa League last 16 first leg. France defender William Saliba put the Premier League leaders ahead with a towering header, but the lead only lasted 12 minutes with Goncalo Inácio nodding home the equalizer. In an absorbing game in the Portuguese capital, Paulino fired Sporting ahead only for Arsenal to equalize through an own goal by Japan midfielder Idemasa Morita. Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta, speaking in his post-game press conference, said his side had control for long periods but lacked a bit of that final touch. Mr. Arteta noted that considering his team were missing 4 key attackers and were still able to escape with a draw was positive.
We had to go against a few issues that we had in the last 2 days when we lost a few players. We lost 4 or 3 of our strikers. But in this competition you want to go through, you're going to have to go through difficult moments. We knew that. We are alive. Everything is still to play for at the Emirates. And hopefully we'll play better. And we have to be better at throwing the opponents as well. But obviously you have an opponent there. And we have had a lot of games recently, really emotional games recently. And today we make a lot of changes. And that cohesion sometimes needs some time, and you could feel that in the first 10-15 minutes. That
before we end the news, here's a recap of our top stories. President Muhammadu Buhari has commiserated with family of the victims of yesterday's bus train crash in Ikeja, Lagos State. The United Nations has strongly condemned the reported ambush and brutal killing of more than 30 civilians in Mukdolo village in Ingala local government area in Borno State yesterday. On the foreign scene, a number of people have been killed in a shooting at a Jehovah's Witness meeting hall in the North German city of Hamburg. You can follow us on our social media handles on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Western Spring Television. You can also watch us live on our YouTube channel at Western Spring Television. That ends Spring News at 12. I am Okoyemuni. Thanks for watching.